And
How about
so not,
lactoferrin? Do you use lactoferrin?
I mean, lactoferrin is like, it's like a protein, right?
Yeah, it's like a
That's
milk
going to also,
protein.
yeah, it's like a milk protein that I think also increases iron levels. It's kind of like vitamin C in a sense, where it increases that binding and absorption of iron. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I've seen
Yeah.
like a couple iron lactoferrin combos that we've used, and man, it's like rocket fuel to get women back up really quickly.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't typically use lactoferrin in general. I'll do my iron supreme, which is a bisglycinate.
Mhm.
And then I'll also throw in some potential iron glandular if they're not eating enough animal products.
Like a
And maybe throw
liver.
in some extra, yeah, like a liver glandular, and then
Mhm.
maybe a little bit extra vitamin C on top of that. But don't, I see a lot of guys out there. I see people say, "Oh, don't eat vitamin C; it's an increase your iron." No, if you're a guy, eat vitamin C. It's not a problem. It's in every leafy green vegetable, every high quality fruit that's out there. It's too important. With guys, the solution to iron issues is just get blood. Get a comprehensive blood test done once or twice a year. Maybe give blood once a year, or twice a year, depending on how many blood tests you get. Just give blood. That's going to be the solution if you're a guy. Don't avoid nutrient dense foods that have nutrients like vitamin C that would increase your iron. Just give blood and do some testing. Keep it
Yeah,
simple.
that's the fun part is that when you're doing comprehensive panels like we're doing, like I just donated blood this or got blood work this morning. I gave a lot of tubes. It was probably not as much as a donation. It definitely wasn't a pint, but I mean, to me, that's a good slow drip out of my system if I'm running some blood panels throughout the year. So
Bingo.
and
Yeah, I
you
think
get
that's totally
data
fine.
and you get data
Yeah,
out of it too.
I think that's fine for sure. So we talked about, how to assess some of these iron patterns, right? We have our general CBC. We have an iron panel that would include iron serum, ferritin, iron saturation, TIBC, UIBC, which are similar binding proteins. You can also look at reticulocytes. Reticulocytes are baby red blood cells. If you're losing blood, you're going to see a lot more baby red blood cells because the babies are being formed to kind of fill in the gap of the older adult cells that we're losing it. If there's an ulcer or some kind of a tummy bleed, irritable bowel disease kind of bleed in the intestines or colon or wherever. So that's helpful to look at. And in general, it's if you're vegan, vegetarian, you have a history of not getting iron in your body, you got to fix that, right? That's a whole different podcast and conversation about animal products. You guys can go back to our channels and search for that. We've had conversations just on those topics. The second issue for women is just got to get rid of the hormonal imbalances that are causing you to bleed too much. So if you're, bleeding more than, 4 or more tampons for two days or more, you're probably just menstruating too much. Classic case of hemorrhagia, if you will. And there's probably a lot of estrogen dominance. There's probably higher estrogen, lower levels of progesterone. Maybe progesterone is falling out soon in the cycle. And some of these things are driving just excess bleeding. And that's possible too. And you got to get to the root cause of why that is. Estrogen dominance, usually some adrenal stress. Got to fix all those other underlying issues that are causing that. And of course, if you have a lot of digestive inflammation, whether it's in the stomach area or intestines, or lack of stomach acid or enzymes, you may not be able to break down the high quality animal products you're consuming. And that could also create a bottleneck of absorption.